In this heartfelt episode, we sit down with Jackson Harris, a standout pitcher from Woods High School, and his mother, Blake Harris, to explore the emotional and practical challenges of transitioning away from competitive sports as Jackson prepares to go off to college this fall. For Jackson, like so many young athletes, baseball has been a central part of his identity, shaping his friendships, his routines, and much of his family life. The decision to step away from the game wasn't easy for him or his parents. Jackson shares candidly about the bittersweet feelings of leaving behind a sport he loves, the uncertainty of what comes next, and how he's finding new passions and purpose beyond the pitcher's mound. Blake offers a parent's perspective discussing the pride and grief that comes with watching a child close a major chapter in their life, and the importance of supporting, not pressuring our kids as they define success on their own terms. For more information and resources for those that are navigating this chapter from closing their competitive sports time and going on to a different chapter in their life, check out the Winning Edge book, Chapter 10, page 201. This chapter is titled Preparing for the Future and Transitioning Away from Youth Sports. We hope you'll find it as a great resource for parents, for coaches, and for our young athletes who are looking to make this change in their lives. Welcome to the Winning Edge podcast, where we share focus, fueling, and faith-filled stories and strategies to give young athletes the tools they need to become the best versions of themselves as athletes and individuals.
What you eat and how you think can transform your athletic performance and overall well-being. Whether you're an athlete, coach, or fitness enthusiast looking to gain that mental edge and optimize your health, this podcast is for you. We are your hosts. I'm Lindsay, former collegiate athlete, coach, educator, and educational coach for over 20 years, and a mom of 2 young athletes.
And I'm Stacy, registered dietitian nutritionist of over 18 years and also a mom of 2 young athletes. On today's episode, we're going to be talking with Jackson Harris, a Woods senior pitcher, about his baseball experiences. Jackson made significant contributions to his team this year, which led them to an incredible postseason run for the state championship. Jackson's mom, Blake, is also on with us, and she's going to share how she supported her son both on and off the field, and how they both navigated what would be the last season of Jackson taking the field. The hardest thing for many of our athletes and parents to navigate is when the sports journey ends. However, there's always opportunity to come together and ways to pour into the next chapter as we build these young individuals as athletes both on and off the field. Jackson and Blake, welcome, and thank you for being here with us today.
Thanks for having us.
So, Jackson, you were a great pitcher the last few years in high school, and your team had just had an incredible run for the state championship. Has baseball always been a really important part of your life?
Yeah, I mean, it's the sport I've played my entire life, grown up going to practices, games, everything. It's been.
But you weren't always a pitcher. We heard about this before. So talk a little bit, Jackson, about how you got to be a pitcher.
So, I mean, growing up, I played catcher, but it was really just like, I was like the only kid who could like really catch the ball. And then eventually it got to a point where I really wasn't that much of a hitter. By the time my sophomore year came around, I was only a pitcher, and it was the right choice for sure, becoming only a pitcher.
Yeah. So you had a lot of baseball growing up. You played a lot of different positions. So you tell all our young parents and athletes, don't worry about specializing too soon. And things are going to change as you get into high school.
For sure.
Yeah, when he was 3, we got him that little Tykes, with the plastic bat, right? And my husband was a collegiate athlete. He was a catcher at Johns Hopkins, and he was like, all right, he put that bat in his left hand. He's like, he's gonna be a switch hitter, and so yeah, that's where it started.
That's awesome. So you were a catcher your freshman year then?
Well, I like came into high school like as a catcher, but I really didn't play much my freshman year as a catcher. When I did play, I kind of played first base mostly.
This is your last season. So you just graduated high school. Congratulations, by the way, because that's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you.
So you're going into your last season. to play baseball. And did you know it was going to be your last season, or were you wanting to go further, or what were your thoughts?
It was like by the time the season came around, I knew that it was going to be my last season, but up until then, it was a pretty hard choice, like deciding to not play in the future. But yeah, I felt like it was the best decision.
So last summer we had done a few camps,
Hmm.
right? And then we met with a recruiter in the fall, and there was a lot of interest from like NIA, right?
Yeah, it was like NAIs and like small junior colleges, but and I didn't really like because I kind of like more of me thought that I wasn't gonna play. Like there was only a small part of me that wanted to still play, so I didn't really pursue it as much as I really could have.
Mhm.
So like the schools were small, and I really just didn't want to go somewhere like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Have
think
you
that's
ever
what it
thought
came
about
down.
walking
Sorry.
on when you get to school? So,
No.
no, done. You've had your fun run and yeah,
Yeah.
it served its purpose. That's awesome.
What were you going to say something about his decision?
Yeah, I think it became like this is the type of school that I can play at, and that's not the type of school I want to go to college at, you know?
Understood.
And so I think, and we were very honest about what that would look like. I mean, my husband was a college athlete, and it meant that he didn't always get to come home for things. And it's
Absolutely.
basically a part-time job. And so we were just very honest about, it's going to take a lot to dedicate yourself to academics and baseball, and you're really not going to have much left of your time.
Yeah. And that's a huge decision. I know from my experience, I woke up and went to preseason training at 5 in the morning, went to classes after, checked in with my coach, was in the gym at lunch, went back to class, then was back in the gym. And it was, whether it was film or whether it was practice, I didn't have a freshman year experience, and no athletes in college do. It's so different. So, I understand that decision for you too. And a lot of kids your age though, well, I see this, but I don't know how you feel being the athlete right now. Do you see a lot of other kids that struggle with making that decision? They feel like it's the end of the world, or they're just burnt out, or what do you?
Um, honestly, I don't know because I don't really think people I feel like there are people that struggle with that decision, but like I feel like most of the time the kids who really want to play in college go play in college. They can find somewhere to play. And the kids that want to go to college and like just have a normal like, college experience, they'll go and do that too. And I don't think it's something kids are really like stressing out about that much.
Well, and I
But
think too, like I thought it was really interesting because when Jackson was moved up to varsity when they did that run in 2023 and made it to state, there were so many kids
yeah,
signing.
I've actually thought about that, and I think it's like a lot of it is like the people around you. Like all those kids were going to play baseball in college, and like it was kind of just the normal thing for that class.
Yeah,
And like I feel like so it kind of encouraged some of the kids who to go to smaller schools to like get their opportunity to play. And this year, I mean,
nobody
we had
did.
we had two people commit
Wow.
from our senior class, and we had like 17 seniors. And
From your baseball team?
yeah,
I think too, one more aspect of it is that, I know what it's like I swam and played water polo, and I did that. I had 5 a.m. practice and 5 p.m. practice, and I eventually got to the point where I hated it.
yeah,
I was
Mhm.
like, I hope I get sick so I don't have to go to practice, right? Because that's the only reason my parents are going to let me skip out. And it's like, you kind of want to leave when you still have a love of the sport versus I don't want to grow to hate it.
yeah. And I felt that too, kind of, because I love baseball, but like there were some points of this last season where like
We're
there
done.
was nothing that I wanted to do less than go to baseball practice.
Yeah.
I appreciate that honesty. And I think, what's funny is it's interesting, Jackson, to hear you talk about that. And Blake, also as a mom, to kind of see that and acknowledge it and say, hey, we're not trying to live through you. We're not trying to torture you. If you don't have a joy for doing this and you don't want to do it, let's not do it. Let's pick a school that you like. Let's do what you love. And so I love seeing how you supported or hearing how you supported Jackson all growing up to play his sport, but also when he was ready to be done,
Yeah.
you supported him in that too.
My husband really struggled. He really struggled with it because you have social media and we're seeing all these kids that he grew up with playing and they're having their signing day and that was really hard, especially for my husband. And I was like, you have to let him make those decisions and let him determine one day that maybe he does regret it. But that's not your responsibility to determine what he will regret and what he won't. Like that's him. And we're not going to push him to do a sport if he doesn't want to, if that's not what he wants to do. And then if he has regrets later in life, I think we all do. That's on him, and that's okay,
And it's hard too when you're a parent and your kiddo's good. So Jackson, it sounds like you are very good at what you do. And so as a PO, you were good. And I think that's like hard, probably as a mom or a dad, to watch your kiddo be so naturally good at something and then also say, oh, well, we don't want you to miss out on an opportunity. But again, to your point, I think you were so wise to say, but it's also your opportunity to be missed out on. It's not our
Yeah.
choice to make.
Yeah.
How did you handle the end of the season as a mom?
It was harder than graduation, it was literally harder than graduation. I feel like I'm gonna get choked up just thinking about it. Like it's literally your entire life. I mean, I remember grading papers at practices. I remember my friends were like, "What are you guys doing this weekend?" I was like, "We might hang out. It depends on, we might be able to. It depends on what we do on Saturday." And I can't commit to Sunday by the pool because we could be done at 10 a.m. or we could be done at 8 p.m. And those times where you have a temporary rain delay and the times that you go away with the team and you're hanging out with the parents, and it was literally our lives revolved around baseball. I'd be in the car working on my master's while he's on the field, and it was a huge part of our lives. And so I feel like that will be a forever memory when I hugged him when it was over. And I was just like, you have brought me so much joy and I'm so proud of you. And like, thank you for these memories and these beautiful experiences, and I just can't believe it's that part of our lives is over. And that's okay, but it's hard to wrap your head around because my youngest played baseball, but decided he was done, in middle school. He was like, I'm over it. I don't like it and I want to do football, but we're like a baseball family, and so it's
Right.
just different. It's different.
I appreciate you sharing that because I think none of us can really be prepared for when that time comes. But that's how it's supposed to be, right? Our lives revolve around our kids. But I love that at the same time, you are the mom that supports him and making those decisions for him and his future, regardless of
Yeah.
what, you would like to see him do. What would your advice be as a parent?
Always be like positive with your kids and be part of what brings them joy, not what brings them pressure and stress, and check in with them. How are you feeling? How's the season going for you? Like, how's your body feel? Are you sore? And then like just really checking in with them and supporting them. And, there'd be times I'm like, God, you really, really didn't do well today. But I was like, this is just baseball. You have great games and you have tough games and it teaches you a lot of life, lessons. And so I think just really be part of what makes it joyful for them. Don't be part of what makes it hard for them because there are the game itself is hard. The coaches can be hard and tough. And Jackson grew up with his dad being his coach for a lot of it, So just be that sounding board. And when you get in the car and you go home, let them be quiet if they want to be quiet. You don't have to give them the rundown of what they did wrong or what they did. Just let them be known if they want to talk about it. You're there to listen and just be like, all right, cool. We lost. Where are we going to eat? No big deal.
Yeah.
Lose baseball games every day. But yeah, just being part of what makes it joyful and not part of what makes it hard.
Yeah, because that's part of that shared experience. And Jackson, I'd love to hear from you. It was great advice, I think, from your mom of just kind of to be there and be supportive. But I'd love to hear from you. What do you feel like would be your advice, having spent most of your childhood playing this sport and it being a lot of your weekend and evening time with your family? Talk a little bit about some of your favorite things from that, but then also advice you would give other athletes or even parents of things that you wish maybe were different.
Some advice I would say I would give to players is like I would say don't make baseball like your whole life. Like not necessarily like obviously put the work in. It's very important. It's awesome, but like don't make baseball like make you upset, like when you're not playing baseball. Like, don't take it home with you, I guess. I should say. Like, it's not the most important thing. It's a game. Like, make sure you're happy. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, and also, I would say,
That's such good.
I
I
think you're
appreciate that. And I know you're
right
thinking,
too.
so I'll give you a second to think. But I thank you for sharing that because we do a
yeah,
lot of talk with our athletes and parents around sports not being your identity. And obviously, as a faith-based podcast, we believe that God says what our identity is. And he says we're pretty awesome. On the back of my wall, it says we're fearfully and wonderfully made, each of us in our uniqueness that he made us. And so while we might be athletes for a temporary time being, we're you're so much more than that. And so I just appreciate you, Jackson, for laying that wisdom down as a young athlete for other athletes. So I want to give you a chance. Were you going to say something else? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
she said something about being a good teammate. I think that's also like you have to be a good teammate. That just makes baseball so much more fun. Like
What do you
you
feel
gotta
like?
have a good relationship with your teammates.
Yeah, and I think it makes a world of difference for how you play as a team. If you're there to support each other and not belittle each other and, laugh with each other and cheer each other on.
That was huge for us this season. I felt like we were like a very tight knit team.
Mm-hmm.
I love all those guys. Like it was super fun just being with them.
Yeah.
Will that be some of your favorite memories, you think? Just the people you
For
met
sure.
through sports? Yeah. You'll probably see them again at some point later in life, and they'll be great friends that you've met
Yeah.
from many years
I'm
of
rooming
different.
with two of my teammates in college.
Oh,
Oh, for college? Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
that's awesome. Y'all will go probably play, what do you call it? Like the rec
The rec
league,
teams, yeah.
and y'all are just gonna smoke everybody. They're gonna wonder where y'all came from.
Yeah. Like go get yourself on a men's league and have some
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Definitely do that. I say we talk to a lot of young athletes, but we also talk to parents. And obviously, as a dietitian who's done this for almost 20 years, like keeping your body in great shape, eating really well, having your faith, like all these things, they'll be lifelong things that will help you. So yeah, go join the rec league, like your mom says.
And we talked too a lot about how, your sport and all of the takeaways that you get from playing and being an athlete, it's going to propel you further in life and in your career. So what are you doing? Like what's your plan for college? What are you going to go to school for?
Well, I'm going for business. Like my major right now is business, but honestly, like I'm really not sure what I want to do after college. So I'm going to Tarleton State. I'm gonna major in business, but I could change that for sure. Like my freshman year, I'm not really sure what I want to do yet.
Hey, I still
And
don't
that's
know what I
okay.
want to do.
All three of us said that's all right.
Yeah, I still
My
don't know.
major
We all
changed.
changed. I know, like yours changed too. So
Yeah.
Yeah. The good news is if you ever get in any high pressure situations, I mean, nothing is as high pressure as having to be a pitcher
no.
in a baseball game on a stage. So if nothing else, Jackson, you will have plenty of experience in managing high pressure situations for whatever your job is
Yeah.
long term.
Yeah. And he wasn't a starter, so he would always go in and and Brian and I are just like, oh my God, he doesn't just go. It's not like his game. He's going and cleaning things up or he's going and finishing things off. And I'm like, that is high pressure, but he handles pressure very well. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so good. Those are those transferable life skills. We always say the only thing more stressful than actually being in that spot, Jackson, is being the mom
Mhm.
or the dad.
Yeah.
Or being the mom sitting next to the dad because I'm like, you need to move somewhere else. Like, you need to go to another. Your commentary, I cannot handle your commentary. Like, just please,
I think that's hilarious. I feel like every married couple that sits side by side at a field never end up sitting side by side by the end of the game. Like
Right.
someone's always moving because it's like you're driving me
Right.
crazy. What are you doing?
Well, when he coached, and then I was like, oh God, you're joining me in the bleachers. Like, I'm used to doing this on my own. And now you're joining me in the bleachers. And I'm like, you literally are saying everything that's in your head right now. And he'll go up and he's like, don't mess this up. Don't mess this up. Oh my God, be good. Oh gosh, be smart. Be smart. You're 2-0. You're 2-0, and I'm like, oh my gosh, be quiet. I can't. You're stressing me out.
Oh my God.
Which I think transitions us nicely. I'm going to touch on,
Yeah.
your husband was a coach. I think when you're a coach, you're never not a coach. It's always kind of something built into who you are. But I want to talk for a second about coaching plays a massive, who you have as a coach and the coaches that your kiddos will experience will play a massive role in their success or opportunities. And so I think you mentioned when we were chatting about the transition of some coaches that Jackson had in his playing career and kind of what opportunities that led to. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I want to talk about the importance of great coaches and just seeing potential in athletes.
But yeah, so my freshman year, we had a coach that had been there a few years, and I really honestly, he said I didn't really have a position then, and honestly, then he was probably right, to be honest. But it just felt like he wasn't really open to changing my position or seeing what I could do. And I don't really blame him for that necessarily. I honestly don't blame him for not seeing my potential because it wasn't really very obvious. But a new coach came in and it just it kind of just opened the door to for change to be made. And the pitching coach for our team saw that I had a pretty good arm and was just come get some work in the bullpen. And he liked what he saw. He was also the JV coach. So he made me a starter for the JV and I had a really good season. And then it all kind of went from there.
That's the year you got pitcher of the year, right?
For JV.
For JV. He got pitcher of the year, and I remember him telling the story when he gave him the award, and he was like, yeah, this kid threw from, the field. He was throwing a ball, and I was like, come here. You need to get in the bullpen. You know what I mean? And come on, I see your arm, I see your strength, and so anyway, it was a pretty neat. There's a coach right now. It was a pretty neat experience, and I was really proud.
I love that. Well, and I love that. I mean, you just hit on something, Jackson, that we were going to talk a little bit about setbacks and adversity. A lot of our young athletes who are really good, very young, and then get to high school, it's such a different ball game. Just even how you work through the coach saying, hey, you don't have a position, but you hung in there and you still showed up and you still worked. And then when the coaches transitioned, again, the importance of having a great coach who can see potential and shape potential. This coach saw your potential and he invested in it. And as your mom said, then you were pitcher of the year for your team, which is pretty awesome. So I love that. I love that story of just grit and not giving up even when something didn't go your way. That's awesome.
So I have to ask you because your mom, well, somebody, I won't say your mom, somebody said that you know a lot of random sports facts.
Party trick.
In particular, you know about the World Series and every team that's won.
She kind of I used to be really good with it, but I'm automatic 1965 to present. But before that, I'm 80% before that.
Okay. Well, we're gonna quiz you.
We got to
Okay.
test your skills.
Okay.
We won't go back to the 20s. So you should be good. You should be good. So
I mean,
you're gonna tell us.
I know some 20s. It doesn't matter. I'm 80% from the first World Series through 1965.
So then now really what you found is your calling when you go into business is you're going to need to go into sports broadcasting because you've been an athlete, you've played, you've been competitive. Nobody remembers those sports facts, Jackson. I think we're shaping your calling of what you're going to end up doing. This podcast is going to be the start of what is the long future in sports broadcasting.
He'll be the guy that sits next to the dude with that does all the. Okay, you know the announcer, and then they've got the person that does all the facts.
My husband will be laughing at us right now.
What I know, what are they called? The person who sits there and gets them all the facts,
Well, I was like, you should be a statistician and be the one, and so I was like, that sounds awful to me, but you might like it. So,
I mean, it sounds like
I think it sounds like you've got a great love. So we're going to quiz you, but it sounds like you have a great love for sports, and you're going to probably know more of these than we have questions to ask.
Probably because I only did 4, So, but we can come up with random ones. Okay. So who won the 1998 World Series?
The Yankees.
Okay.
Remember the final play?
Yeah.
What was the final play?
Ground ball to third.
Oh, I'm going to have to research this.
Yankees won it 4-0.
No,
Versus
he's
the
right because I
Padres.
watched the video earlier.
Oh my
Versus
God.
So
the
that is
Padres.
right.
Okay, so anybody that's listening, y'all can go fact check.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
check
that's
them.
amazing.
Okay. Ready? You're going to do, here's number 2. 64 World Series.
I'm pretty sure that's the Cardinals, but I could be wrong.
Nope, you're right.
Okay.
Do you remember the final play?
No, there's no video, so I've never watched it.
Minor detail. You want to do the third one? Easy.
So who won if you're 3 for 3, who won the 1988 World Series?
The Dodgers.
Okay, so even more important, I'm going to ask the last question. And this is more of your choice. What was your favorite ever World Series finish?
My favorite World Series was 2016 because the Cubs won.
But was it because of the play that ended it, or just
So favorite World Series finish? I don't know. There's not really like I feel like there's not really that many memorable ones. I guess I would have to say like in 1993 it ended on a walk-off home run. So that's cool.
pretty awesome? Yeah, that's a good one. I can't
Which team was
believe
that?
you.
I didn't know that. What
The
team was
Blue
that?
Jays.
The Blue Jays.
Oh, you know what's funny? So we have the sports dietitian for the Blue Jays, Tony Costello. He's actually coming on our podcast soon, so maybe he'll share some fun tips if he remembers anything from that time.
We're gonna have to tell him though that like Jackson knew that.
Yeah, he has like the memory. I don't even know how to keep all of that.
It's crazy.
Well, this is awesome. So, Jackson, Blake, thank you guys so much. It's been a privilege to have you on with us today and just to openly kind of share what's it like in this next stage of the journey for young athletes that are getting into high school, that are transitioning to college, that are no longer playing sports. I think your honesty, Jackson, as an athlete and kind of where you were in this transition, and Blake, just again, your honesty as a parent going through this time period is so helpful. And I think it will make many of our listeners who are going through the same transition period just feel like they're not alone. It's really hard. And probably to your point, Blake, even harder than graduating high school and moving on to college. And so we love this. We love sports. It's obviously why we're here. We love investing in our kiddos and seeing all the things they can learn from it. And we know, Jackson, that you're going to accomplish great things. I think today validated that. You have a mental trap of steel up there. I cannot believe you remember all of those things. So we wish you all the best at Tarleton State and hope you have a lot of fun in your freshman year. Hope you learn a lot. And we can't wait to hear from you and what life brings in the future. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Stay tuned for future podcasts where we will bring on exciting guests in the sports world, highlight spotlight coaches, athletic directors, former and current collegiate and professional sports players, sports dietitians, sports psychologists, and more.
What you eat and how you think can transform your athletic performance and overall well-being. Whether you're an athlete, coach, or fitness enthusiast looking to gain that mental edge and optimize your health, this podcast is for you.
Don't forget to join the SPAN community and get more exclusive content by following us on all of our social media channels, including TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X at @SPAN_athletics.
Until next time, stay faithful, stay fueled, and remain focused on your goals.